and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Chani Nicholas. I hope I'm also one of your astrological besties. This week, we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces. But before we get into that, if you're looking for an astrological map, compass, and companion for the coming year, check out our 2025 Astro Planner. It is so cute. It has stickers, y'all. Stickers. It's filled with rituals, reflections, exercises, astro cheat sheets, planetary movements, and a daily and monthly calendar. All of that allows you to plan your year, track your intentions, and make the most of 2025's astrology as it unfolds. I use mine every single day because even me, who talks about the astrology all the time, I'm like, wait, what's happening today? What's happening this week? You can order yours at chani.com, but know this, it sells out every year, so act fast. Y'all, the first eclipse of eclipse season is here, and it is a brand new type of eclipse, at least brand new in terms of the last couple decades. It is a lunar eclipse, so it's a full big old moon in Pisces near the North Node. We've been having North Node eclipses in Aries, which are very fiery and upfront and bold and brash and obnoxious and a little overheated sometimes, I might say. And this one in Pisces is so different. That's the thing about signs that are right next to each other, is that they're pretty opposite. So this is a very new type of eclipse. We've not had one like this again for the last couple decades, but it's also just a really different vibe. Pisces is soft, where Aries is a little harsh and sharp and, fun and exciting. And Pisces is about merging with the great unknown and wants to be part of everything. Whereas Aries is like bold and direct and does its own thing. Pisces is like, what if we just tuned in to the great cosmic intelligence and chilled out here for a while? So it is a very soft eclipse, if that is a thing. It's an eclipse that's really dreamy and fluid and very changeable. What does that mean for us personally? What does that mean for us collectively? Well, it's very impactful for anybody with a mutable sign, especially anyone with a mutable sign for a rising sign. So that's Gemini rising, that is Virgo rising, that is Sag rising, and that is Pisces rising, especially. Now, that means that this eclipse would be happening in an angular part of your chart, and eclipses happening in these parts of our chart can be very, very active. But because this eclipse is sitting in between Saturn and Neptune, but much closer to Neptune, there is something very distinct about what our dreams are and what we're doing, how we're constructing a path, a type of commitment, a ritual towards our dreams and how we can make them manifest. Because eclipses are little jump starts in the year, and they definitely speed things up, right? It's live wire type of energy. It's energy that's unstable, and therefore it's not something that we try to work with. We just let happen. If we know there's going to be a power outage, we don't try to hook everything up to the outlet. We want to make sure we ground everything, right? We don't want the power surge to destroy things. We don't want to overload our system. So it's still that kind of thing. But again, because it's in Pisces and because it's so close to Neptune, there is this really dreamy quality about it. And in some ways, I think it's going to amplify some images of things, because Neptune is a planet of images, the projected image. It's a planet that's associated with movies and movie making, and again, how to take something and project it out into the world. So I think some people are going to really benefit from this kind of eclipse. especially people with Gemini rising, because this eclipse will be happening in your 10th house. So again, wherever this eclipse is happening for you, you might notice a little bit of a glimmer there because Neptune's quite glamorous. Neptune is able to be very mystifying. It's alluring in its own way because it's so intangible, it's so poetic, it's so dreamy, and it's very confusing. So the medicine of this eclipse, because eclipses always deal with our shadow material, the part of us that is still unconscious, or the unconscious aspect of self, the stuff we do to self-sabotage, the stuff we do to just pick at our own wounds, the stuff we do that we're like, why do I keep doing this thing? But in the moment, we're unconscious to the fact that we're doing it. Eclipses are really good at parsing out that behavior for us. So that's always a good thing to focus on. When it's eclipse season, it's like, okay, what am I up to? What's going on in the shadows of my life and myself? And because Neptune has a very deceptive quality to it, it is an eclipse that's going to help us understand how we deceive ourselves, which is a really good thing, because if we know how we deceive ourselves, then we know what we need to make conscious so that we can more quickly manifest our dreams, manifest our life's goals, because Neptune is very much about the ultimate dream too. And with this eclipse sitting in between Neptune and Saturn, there's this vibe of the reality of things and then the dream of what things could be. And the eclipse is going to, again, jolt us awake to the thing that lies in between those two states, the reality and the ultimate altruistic fantasy of where we want to go to. And whether or not we'll ever get there, it doesn't really matter. It's good to have a kind of ultimate dream. What is the utopian thing that we are trying to work towards? Neptune is yeah, let's go there. Now, Neptune's also very intoxicating. So this is a lunar eclipse where I would say, let's not do that right now. Let's not go with what is intoxicating, because there'll just be a natural tendency to do so, right? There'll be a natural tendency to go towards what is unrealistic or what is intoxicating, what is going to kind of unwind us from reality. So we don't need to add to that. So this is not a time where I would want to be overloading my system, metaphorically or otherwise, with intoxicants. However, it is a really good time to let yourself dream, right? And to know that I can play my favorite songs or put on my favorite movie or read my favorite book or what have you, and be swept up with the dream and with the art and with the imagery, and that can evoke a really powerful emotional response from me. And so there's something about this eclipse that's also trying to help us remember how potent our emotional life is, and that we need to get into those spaces and places where we're being consciously intoxicated with the dream that we have of our life, but not being derailed by a fantasy, by chasing a fantasy that isn't actually good for us or won't actually get us anywhere. So this eclipse will show some of us how and where and when and why we get derailed, or where things we lose the plot and things go awry. There's a real escapism to this eclipse. So you want to also look in terms of the collective, what does the collective get intoxicated on? What is the collective trying to escape? What is the thing that we need to actually be very direct and firm about, because the energy is going to want to sweep us off our feet. And being swept off our feet is not a good thing. It's not. We want to be grounded. We want to have our feet on the earth, ourselves firmly rooted here, and our hearts and minds wide open. But I don't want to lose my footing, because then where am I? A, and how am I going to bring things down into the material world for actual change? Okay, that's a lot. It's a lot of talk about an eclipse, but these are the themes that seem to be really pervasive this mid part of September. What's intoxicating? What's the dream? What's the reality? How do we bridge where we are now with where we want to get to? And then where is this happening in your chart? And what is it saying to you? What is opening up for you? And again, because this is the first of its kind in a while kind of eclipse, it's a new story that's opening. So anything that happens right now that's like, whoa, new out of the blue, or like, I didn't see that coming, or, oh, all of a sudden I've jumped timelines and here I am. That's very new eclipse type of energy, type of signature. That's what happens during eclipse seasons. It's also like, who's misconstruing things, who is being shady, what is going on that's very deceptive in this moment. All right, so that's the eclipse that happens on Tuesday. It's, again, a full moon lunar eclipse. We want to be kind to the body. We want to rest a lot. If Pisces knows something, it's that daydreaming is a very important part of creating anything, recreating the world, creating our life, doing anything. We've got to stop and we've got to rest and we've got to be in a state of openness and relaxation. It's always good to do that during eclipse season, but it's extra good with a Pisces eclipse conjunct Neptune. I would not push it if you're feeling like you're kind of washed up temporarily. You're not, but like if you're feeling that, or if you're feeling drained, or if you're feeling like overwhelmed, that's the Pisces eclipse conjunct Neptune. There's no boundary here. There's nothing holding us in. Yes, Saturn is there, but the moon is actually past Saturn and moving into Neptune. So we're more towards the feeling untethered side of things. And so, again, we always want to ground during eclipses, but especially this type of eclipse. If you feel tired, respect that. Just let yourself be tired. It'll pass. That's something that I'm like getting good at as I get old and older. It's like, okay, I'm in pain, or this thing is hard, or this situation's annoying, but it'll pass. I will move through this. This will pass. Good to take care of myself right now while I'm in this temporary situation. Okay. Also, I will say, Jupiter rules this eclipse, and Jupiter is in Gemini, so that's not very helpful because it's the sign opposite from what it likes to be in. So there's like a million options and a lot going on. But Jupiter just made that trine with Venus, and that's still lingering. So I'm not mad at that. That does feel supportive in a way. And Jupiter can see this eclipse by whole sign aspect. They are square each other. So that's not bad. That's actually good. That's actually supportive. And Mars is not doing anything that is challenging this eclipse. So there are some good things going for it. And it might just be a day where it's like dreamy and a little delusional and also very like imaginative. And it might actually be a little easier of an eclipse than we're used to. I will say that Mars on Sunday has just last Sunday squared the nodes. And so that gives me a little bit of pause like we talked about last week. So I don't think we're totally out of the woods with this, but I do think it's the softest type of eclipse you could have. Again, maybe a little derailing, maybe a little anxiety provoking because we might feel like a little bit of a loss of reality or groundedness, but you can counter that fairly easily, I think. Breathing exercises, get good sleep, get exercise if you can, talk to friends, etc. Okay, Wednesday, Mercury is making an opposition to Saturn. It will help us kind of come back to reality, I think. It's very scrutinizing. It's very specific. It's very like, did you do your homework? You got this wrong. This is incorrect. This was put in the calendar in a way that's absolutely not helpful. Where are the details? What is the data? How can we gather it? So it's good for editing. It's a little harsh, so be a little bit more generous with your words on Wednesday, because people might be feeling like, why are they picking on me? Why is everybody picking on me? What's everybody's deal? Thursday, the sun makes a trine to Uranus. This configuration is baked into the eclipse. So now we're like perfecting it in a way. The sun has gone on to make this, and this is very experimental and fun. It's like a weirdo type of energy in the best way possible. On Friday, the sun makes an opposition with Neptune, and here we might again feel a little untethered, a little washed up, a little bit like our energy is everywhere and it's hard to gather ourselves. So we might just want to escape. Escapism is a good thing, I think, if we're conscious that that's what we're doing. We're like, I'm just going to get out of my life for a moment, take off all of my identities, put my responsibilities just on hold for a second, and go just remember who I am without all of this stuff of life. And I think that that's what the week is going to feel like. And especially it's going to feel like that, I think, on Tuesday and Friday. So maybe like out of office early if you can. Saturday, Mercury is making a square to Jupiter, which is a big, bold announcement. It's fun. It is big ideas. It's great conversations. It's really amplifying all of the things that we want to learn about. It's like a voracious appetite as well. On Sunday, the equinox arrives. It's a big week, y'all, to have eclipses right around the equinox, because there's an eclipse now and then there's going to be an eclipse in 2 weeks. So now we've got a change of season, and the change of season is always an energetic kind of shift, right? We're no longer there. We're now in this new place. What does your body need? What does your soul need? What does your emotional life need? What does your everything need in this new season? So the equinox happens on Sunday, the 22nd, and Venus rules Libra. The sun has just moved into Libra. And on the same day, Venus makes a square to Pluto, which is very deep and very cathartic and very emotional, can be a little tough on our relationships because there's this sense of having to really excavate some aspect of our needs and get very honest about our needs and how to meet them and how to honor them. And then Venus moves into Scorpio. Now, Venus in Scorpio is intense, it's deep, it's really, 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 really strong. It's a strong Venus. It has fortitude. It can go the distance in relationships. It can handle a lot. But I just want to say, on a very practical level, Venus was just in Libra, where it was in its own place. And in Scorpio, it's in the sign opposite to where it usually is. So it's in its exile. It's in a place opposite. So that means it's tougher. It's interesting when Venus goes from Virgo, where it's in its fall, where it also is starting out from like a dipped down place, like kind of like in the gutter almost. It has got to like work its way just to get to ground zero. And then it goes to Libra, where it's like in its own place. And then it goes into Scorpio, where it's in exile. And so we've had this moment of Venus being really, really lovely and really helpful and trying to build social cohesion and beauty and art and love and sweetness and connection. And now it's back in Scorpio, which again, like in your chart, great. We love a Venus in Scorpio. Yes, it has its issues, and yes, it will be very specific in your life, but it's not like a bad placement. But when we look at the landscape of the world and see Venus go from this to this to this to down to up to down again, or out, like out, in, out kind of, we know that Venus types people, women, femmes, queer folks, artists, have this moment where it's like it's challenging, or there's something about, being one of those types of people living in a patriarchal world that's exceptionally challenging. And then there's a moment of maybe even peacemaking that happens. I'm recording this before Venus has gone into Libra, so I have no idea what the Venus in Libra will be like, but something about justice, peace, and equity and balance. And then into Scorpio, where it's like, this is my real feeling about it. This is how it actually is. And I'm not going anywhere and I'm not giving up. And I've got a tremendous amount of determination, but it's not about making nice. This is not a people-pleasing kind of signature, where Venus in Libra actually really is. And sometimes we can acquiesce too much. But Venus in Scorpio is like, let's get down to business, roll up our sleeves, let's get dirty, let's get into it. And so it's got that kind of intense vibe. So it's an intense beginning to our Libra season. And again, it's not good or bad. It just is. Feelings will run deep during this time. And if you have Venus in Scorpio, it's your Venus return. And you can tell us the amazing things about having Venus in Scorpio. All right, y'all. That's it. That's the reading. We just know that Sunday's turn from Venus squaring Pluto to entering Scorpio is going to unearth a lot of honesty about how we feel about each other in our relationships and how we meet our needs. And it will probably unearth something important about justice and harmony, disharmony. Hey, it's that time where I say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for leaving us reviews in the App Store. They are gold to us. They let people know that this is actually an app that is worthwhile to you. And then you let them know why. And it just moves us. It takes time, it takes your energy, and I don't take any of it for granted. None of us do. I wanted to leave you with this review. It's called Free Trial to New Member. I have been a fan and listener of Chani's YouTube channel for a while now. I decided to do the free trial of the app to see if it was for me. Wow. I am amazed by how much work has gone into this app. That's true. It is the perfect combination of astrology, self-care guide, and journal. It gives me the perfect insight and confirmation of what's to come. I have learned so much more about myself through this app, from my personal detailed chart it gives you along with your readings on your specific rising sign. It offers so much more that I'm still finding things. Thank you, Chani, for offering this gift to us. You gained a full-time member. Much love, Marion. Okay. Come back next week. We will talk about the astrology then. Next week will be that in-between week, right? We'll be in between one eclipse and another. So it's a little bit of a rest week, which we love. It's great. Mercury is going to do a lot of stuff. It's going to be very chatty. So it's going to be a good week in some ways for communications. Okay, remember, rest. It's an eclipse week. Take note of where this eclipse is happening for you. Check your chart, check the Chani app, listen to your reading. Take note, this is the beginning of a series of eclipses. It's a very important new beginning. I'll see you back here next week. In the meantime, take such good care of yourselves. Bye for now.